Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here I share what a typical week of meals looks like for us, a homeschooling family of 5 that eats 3 meals per day at home, mostly from scratch. Just a place to share recipes, meal prep, and dinner inspiration. Here I am another Monday morning. I am starting the day off with a couple of chickens. I have chicken enchiladas on the meal plan, and I want to make some chicken salad for lunches this week. I'm also completely out of chicken broth, so once these are done and deboned, I will be getting some broth going. Now I'm putting on a pot of water so I can boil some pasta for macaroni and cheese. I'm also going to throw some pinto beans in the crock pot. My kids love pinto beans and they'll go great with my enchiladas. I like to freeze the leftovers for lunches. Now that I've got all that going, it's time to start on fruits and veggies. We found the most delicious grapes the other day. These are not going to last long. Another veggie tray for the fridge. Some pico to go with my enchiladas. I'm going to throw some of this in the crock pot with those beans. Another chopped salad. There really isn't much to this salad, just broccoli, cauliflower, and a can of corn. Now I'm mixing up the salad dressing. This is so good and really easy to throw together. It's just mayo, sour cream, lemon, and honey, a little salt and pepper to taste. This salad recipe calls for bacon and shredded cheese, but I'm going to keep that on the side. I'm frying extra bacon for the kids' breakfast this morning and for the pizzas I plan on prepping for the freezer later today. While my bacon is frying, I'm going to start shredding cheese. I have a ton of cheese to shred today. I need cheese for that salad, those pizzas, my chicken enchiladas, and the macaroni and cheese. Kraft shells and cheese was always a quick and easy go-to side for us in the States. I would even make it for lunches sometimes. Since moving overseas, I've tried a few stovetop mac and cheese recipes, but we really haven't found one we love. This recipe here has been my go-to for special occasions for years, but it requires more work than I'm up for on a typical weeknight. This recipe also makes a ton, way more than our family of 5 can eat, so today I thought I would make it and divide it into smaller portions for the freezer. The link to the original recipe is down below. It's amazing, but I've slightly tweaked it for today. For my recipe, you're going to need noodles, slightly undercooked, oil, butter, flour, milk, whipping cream, and shredded cheese. I am using a combination of cheddar and mozzarella. Don't forget the salt and pepper to taste. Once my pasta was cooked and drained, I returned it to the pot and stirred in a tablespoon of oil. I'm just going to leave this while I start on my cheese sauce. To a large pot, add the butter till melted, then flour. Stir it for a bit until it begins to bubble before adding in the milk and cream. Once your milk mixture comes to a simmer, stir in your cheese a little at a time until smooth and creamy. Here you can add in your salt, pepper, whatever seasonings you like. Season it well. Now I'm going to pour this all over my pasta and give it a good stir till it's all mixed in. I am dividing this among 2 bread pans. I've lined each one with plastic wrap and then a layer of parchment. These are going to the freezer just like this till frozen through. Now that those are done, I'm going to make some marinara sauce for my pizzas. I also have spaghetti and meatballs on the meal plan this week, so we'll be needing sauce for that. You can make this sauce a couple of different ways. In the past, I've used whole canned tomatoes. I would just run them through the food processor, but lately I've been using this tomato puree. My kids prefer this because it's a much smoother consistency. I'm seasoning this with a spaghetti sauce seasoning I've been experimenting with. It is still a work in progress. I also added in a bay leaf and some fresh herbs. I always say the secret to a good spaghetti sauce is the right combination of sugar and salt. Just keep seasoning and tasting. This needs to simmer a bit. While this is going, I'm going to start on English muffins. We do a lot of breakfast sandwiches in the morning with my homemade frozen biscuits. I thought English muffins would be a nice change. This is the first time I've ever made them. After researching a few recipes, I decided to give this one here on YouTube a try. I don't have a stand mixer, which was recommended for this recipe, but I did just fine mixing by hand. This dough needs some time to rise, so while that's going, I'm going to start on my frozen pizzas. I assembled all this dough on Saturday. This is a new recipe that has a few more steps than other recipes I've shared. I was actually a little intimidated when I read through all the directions the first time, but this crust is definitely worth all the extra work, which is why I quadrupled the recipe this time around. I feel like if I am going to take an afternoon to babysit this dough, I might as well make the most of my time and efforts. This is the best homemade pizza dough I've ever made, perfectly chewy with a crispy bottom. The first time we tried this recipe, I doubled it, which gave me 2 sheet pan sized pizzas that were a bit too thick, so I'm thinking I can get 6 today if I get the thickness of the crust right. I don't know if taking a rolling pin to dough like this is recommended, but I'm just going for it. I am also baking these on parchment. Last time I made this, parts of my crust stuck to the pan, probably because I don't have the recommended pans for this. Once my crusts are par-baked and cooled, I went ahead and topped them. I usually flash freeze the crusts before topping them, but this is going to be a busy week for us, so I want to get as much done on this day as I can. I did end up with 6 pizzas, but only 4 made it to the freezer. The kids and I ate 1 for lunch on this day, and I burned that 6th one when I was trying to par-bake it. I got distracted and forgot to set a timer. Alright, to the freezer these go just like this. By the time my pizzas were done, it was time to bake those English muffins. I decided to just stretch out my dough big enough to cut them into 18 squares as opposed to taking a biscuit cutter to them. I'm really happy with the way these turned out. I will definitely be making these again. Here we are, nearly 3 o'clock, another productive day in the kitchen. My pinto beans are just about done. My English muffins are cooling. I've got some homemade marinara, some chicken broth. I just need to throw together my chicken enchiladas, 1 for the freezer and 1 for tonight. And here I am on Tuesday, bagging up my chicken enchilada, my macaroni and cheese, and wrapping up those pizzas. This is how it came together on the meal plan. Monday, we had the enchiladas with beans and rice and homemade pico. Tuesday was a total kid meal, homemade chicken nuggets from the freezer served with that baked macaroni and cheese and some raw veggies. Wednesday, we tried a new Crockpot recipe, honey garlic steak bites. This was really easy to throw together. Last week, when I saw sirloin steak at the butcher, I went ahead and purchased it because I cannot always depend on the butcher to have exactly what I want when I want it. When I came home, I sliced my beef into bite-sized pieces, placing them single layer on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Once they were frozen through, I transferred them to a freezer bag. Flash freezing those pieces of steak made preparing this from frozen so easy. I was able to easily season and brown each piece of steak before throwing it into the crock pot. I was completely out of ketchup this recipe called for, so I subbed in barbecue sauce. This was so good, the kids loved it. We ate the leftovers on Thursday. Friday, we did sheet pan pork chops with roasted apples and sweet potatoes and frozen broccoli. I am a huge fan of sheet pan meals. Saturday was pizza night, and Sunday we did spaghetti and meatballs. For breakfast this week, we did egg and cheese sandwiches with those English muffins almost every day, and we did pancake muffins and smoothies a few times. I have been experimenting with these smoothies. Our favorite combination has been strawberry banana. I flash freeze tablespoons of yogurt and overripe bananas. The goal here is to make these smoothies easy enough my 11-year-old can throw together himself with minimal mess. We find 4 tablespoons of frozen yogurt, a couple banana slices, about a 1/4 cup of frozen chopped strawberries, and a cup of milk makes a nice size smoothie. I double this recipe if I'm making it for all 3 of my kiddos. For lunch this week, the kids finished off those pinto beans with rice. They also finished up the last of the ham pies I made a few videos ago. I did chicken salad with that roasted chicken. And I also had that broccoli salad on hand. A few things we did for snacks this week. Pop-Tart cookie bars. You have got to try them. My husband told me these were the best cookies I've ever made. This recipe says they need to be baked in an 8x8 square pan, but I used my 11.5 by 8-inch pan and they came out just fine. Once your cookie dough comes together, divide the dough in half. Then, one at a time, evenly spread each half across a parchment-lined pan. I like to take a rolling pin to ensure it's evenly spread. Then pop them in the fridge or freezer for a few minutes to set up before spreading your jam over the first layer, then carefully top with that second layer before baking. I like to bake them until they are a nice golden brown. Once they are completely cooled, flip them over and top with frosting, then sprinkles before slicing. I love the way these look. I want to make these for my daughter's birthday party this year. We also did Rice Krispie treats. These are just so easy to throw together. There are so many different recipes and variations. Our favorite is linked below. One last recipe I wanted to share was this chocolate syrup. With the change in seasons here in Botswana, my kids have been on a hot chocolate kick, and to be honest, we usually keep the powdered stuff on hand. We recently ran out, but I was able to throw together some homemade syrup in minutes. If chocolate syrup or the powdered stuff is something that you like to keep on hand, I would encourage you to give this a try. I love it when I am able to scratch off items from my grocery list and replace them with homemade versions, especially when they can be made with ingredients I already have on hand. This may sound silly, but it feels like I'm getting something for nothing when I do that. If you're looking for more homemade swaps, check out this video here. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here. Please like this video if you thought it was helpful, share it if you think it's worth sharing, and tap on that subscribe button if you haven't already and want to see more. Until next time.